It's impossible. What it does, being a person who is judgmental of others, a person who's self-righteous. Let me give you an example first from the Bible. The Pharisee. He went into the temple complex, remember. And he stood up there and he began to talk about how he doesn't do this, and he doesn't do that. And I did this, God, I did this, and it gives a little bit away. I fast twice a week. Man, think about that for a second. What he just said, fast twice a week. And how many of us fast twice a week? I mean, you tell my stomach, I don't fast twice a week. It doesn't happen. Think about what he was saying, what this guy was doing. I don't think he was telling a lie. He gives a tenth. He gives the money he's supposed to give. Does the thing that I'm supposed to do. And then he began to point out all the other people. Notice they were in the temple complex too. They were there. Wasn't like all of the sinners are way down there. They were in a bar somewhere. No, they were there. I'm glad I'm not like those sinners. I'm glad I'm not like a tax collector. But remember the tax collector. He would not even enter the temple complex. He falls to his knees. He begins to beat his chest and he says, God, have mercy upon me, a sinner. Recognized sinfulness for what it is. Now, Pharisaical attitude, that's what that is. A prideful way of God, I've got everything together, and now it's my job to go out and make sure everybody else does. Won't cut it with God. So often, you hear that, and think about what it does. I talked about that when I started the message. What it does to the life of those that we judge. It just destroys them and eats them alive. Jesus was eating with sinners. So we're not to turn our back on sinners. Not to turn our back even if we think they're sinners. Let's just say somehow we judge their mind, oh, they're sinful. We're not to turn our back on them. Jesus was eating with them. But for us to just constantly tear people down. Did you hear what's happening in Johnny and Jamie's life, I might say? Well, let me tell you about who they are. Let me tell you something about them. Man, if God doesn't forgive me for my past and anything after the word I just said in my past, He doesn't forgive me for my past, I'm in trouble. I'm in serious trouble. Cannot God, the God of the very universe who is the judge, can He not forgive people? We just tear people down constantly. And we wonder why they don't leave. And the first thing we start thinking in our mind, we got to justify why they don't want to come back. We got to justify, well, they saw how righteous I was and how unrighteous they were, and they just realized that I can't be around them. They're too righteous and they've got it right with God. We justify. And I'm not just talking about here, guys. I'm talking about church as a whole. The church as a whole, all around the United States. We justify why people don't come back. And we say it's because they didn't really want to go to church. That's another justification. When are we going to start loving other people? As John is clear. You say you love God and you don't love others, you're a liar. And you can talk about all the good things you want to do, and it'll go in one ear and out the other. It means nothing. Unless you love others. And if you love others, you're not going to be tearing them down. You're not going to be gossiping about them and putting them down and finding fault with them. It's not going to happen. Never seen that. When someone loves me, that's not the first thought in my mind. Well, if they love me, they're going to be saying bad things about me. That's ridiculous. Come on. And how stupid do we look? Do we truly love others? I told you this was going to be a hard message. It's going to be difficult for all of us, for me too. It's not easy for me. And I think about times in my life. I think about a number of times in my life where that's been me. The same things, all the things that I've said, I've done those things. I've looked down on others. I've made excuses why they didn't come back or why they didn't want to be around me because, they just weren't holy enough. And that's not the Word of God at all. John wrote what I was telling you. The last thing that I read there was John. John was the closest disciple to Jesus. Do you not think that he knew what he was talking about? He said, if we can't love people that we see, then we don't love God that we don't see. He called you a liar.